Hello, I'm R.H. Thompson, and welcome to Man Alive. Sometimes you meet someone and a chord is struck. Not friendship in particular, but a knowing and a communion of spirits. Bhanté Wimala is from Sri Lanka. He's a Buddhist monk in the Theravada tradition. He's a strong spirit. His understanding is gentle and compassionate. Yet he is acutely aware of the complexities and the spiritual threadbareness of much of secular life. He's aware of how the politics of unfettered global capital catches the poor. And he is no stranger to the pain of human relationships. To all these places, he takes his Buddhist nature. To people of many faiths and of many countries. Sometimes he's received with warmth and support, and sometimes with religious hostility. But he listens. He listens and accepts what is around him. He listens from a place within himself of resolute calm, which holds the power of healing.
May all living beings be well and happy. May all living beings be free from pain and suffering. May there be peace, love, and harmony in this world. I am the student, my teacher is me. I am the disciple, the guru is me. Teacher and student, guru and disciple, all I am, I move along. I was born in a small, beautiful village in the hill country of Sri Lanka. And I had loving parents, and I was always in a very natural environment. And I had lots of brothers and sisters. I was surrounded by a lot of people all the time and felt a sense of security, and we didn't have other concerns or problems or struggles. I think I'm very happy being who I am, and I went through a period of struggle to discover myself as a monk. And then after that initial stage of confusion or struggle, I feel I have come into a calmer and more wiser connection with myself, and so I feel comfortable with where I am, and wherever the life might take me, I'm open to that. I am my family and also my friend. My child is myself. I nurture him well. Child and parent, friend and companion, all I am. I move along. I'm a free bird, so happy and free. Let me fly far, wherever I want. Keep your respect, fame and honor. Don't offer them to me. Too many a monk, trapped and tangled. They have lost their path and unable to fly free.
You have been called a rebel monk. You have no monastery. You've been traveling around the world for almost 17 years. Why do you do that?
I was curious about other spiritual teachers and teachings and different religious traditions. So I left Sri Lanka and traveled in Asia for 4 years as a seeker, as a student, as a person who was curious and wanted to explore different spiritual traditions and paths. And that is how my journey began.
There is a group of doctors called Doctors Without Borders, and they take their values and their skills and they share them with the world. It seems to me that you are creating a branch of Buddhism that might be called Buddhism Without Borders.
I think you could call that. I think we, after a certain stage of our spiritual evolution, we naturally go beyond the boundaries that are set by culture, tradition, religion, and nationalities, languages. So in my travels, I have traveled around the world visiting to different cultures, traditions. Actually, 95% of my invitations come from non-Buddhist groups or institutes. It seems like they are seeking the same thing in different ways. They have taken different approaches. Some are more practical than the others and more fruitful than the others, but we all seems to be struggling towards reach those same goals.
I see people of different faiths drinking from the well of Buddhism and incorporating some Buddhist practices into their faiths. Does the reverse also happening? Is Buddhism absorbing ideas and practices from, say, Judaism or Islam or Christianity?
Well, Buddhism, when you think about it, the teachings of the Buddha is known as Dharma, which is the truth. So Buddhism is open to whatever the truth is, wherever it exists. When I travel, I go to churches, Christian churches, Jewish synagogues, Hindu temples. I feel at home with them. We discuss our values and their values, and we come into certain awareness and understanding of our differences and similarities and the meaning beneath the words, the pure message that is taught by these great spiritual masters, because I believe all great masters come from, all religions, traditions, try to teach the message of truth and love.
You speak about listening behind the words and the other levels of reality which lie beyond words. How do we approach those people who take words to be literally true and who do not tolerate other levels of meaning? How do we approach these people?
First of all, they have right to believe. As long as it is not harmful, it doesn't hurt anybody, everybody have right to believe what they think is right. But we have to learn to step back and compassionately share what might be universally true, rather than coming into conflict with what you think is right and what I think is right. So it's very important to respect them, and that's okay. It's not the problem. The problem begins when we use our beliefs to insult others or despise others or discriminate others or eliminate others because they're different.
And then, what do we do?
Then I think we have to again come to a place of compassion and understanding that human beings sometimes could have the possibility of personalizing their beliefs and getting attached to that personalized ideas or ideals or values or behavior. And they might get lost in it and act blindly. So we have to perceive them with compassion and have a gentle approach to influence them whatever way we can.
Venerable Bhanté Wimala Sadhu came to our prison, the female ward, and we were so happy. He used to help us a lot. So now we are thinking the Lord Buddha has come to the prison.
And why have you made it a priority to help women and children?
There are a lot of things needed to be done to raise the status of women and to pay more attention to children. because children are the generations that are going to eventually take over the responsibilities of the world, and nurturing them, caring them, supporting them, and paying attention to them actually is very important to build a better world in the future.
You have a little bit of the unconventional in you.
I think it is very important for, as a human being, before being a monk, as a human being, to be open to the possibilities and to be excited about unknown, and be curious about life by life as it is, and these things I think what really keep us alive and makes life move forward and help us to grow spiritually and grow as an individual, as a human being. So I think we need to create space within us for those things.
When I'm speaking to you, I know that I'm speaking to a man who is a monk and very, very wise, but at times I catch flashes of a child.
Oh yes, that I think that is there. That's one thing that I always wanted to. I didn't want to lose a child within me, because that playfulness, the ability to see things from through the eyes of a child, and to be to allow the things to unfold without being burdened by heavy ideas or deep thoughts or concepts, is something that I believe we all need to have ability to do.
Gandhi said that he had 3 enemies. The first was the British, and they were the easiest to deal with. The second was the Indian people. They were far more difficult to deal with. And the third enemy, and the most difficult, was himself. Now, in the path to spiritual enlightenment, it is the self, is it not?
Yes, so I would not term it as enemy, because it carry a lot of negative energy maybe, but I would like to say that it is oneself that ultimately has to face. I need to face myself. I need to deal with myself. I need to come face to face with myself. I need to overcome my own weaknesses. It is a personal journey, personal effort, personal struggle that you have to push yourself through. And if you don't come to that point in your life, you will remain lost in many chaotic emotions that are triggered by the external social influences. I am the ghosts of my ancestors crying, and also the voices of children born. Within me, the vision of every prophet. Within me, the burden to live in my time. My struggle knows no time, but I only know now. All that I am, I move alone.
If you were to describe a sickness of the mind, which is prevalent today, what would that be?
Well, I think the greed is one of the most powerful destructive forces that we have. Greed out of control, and the selfishness that we get obsessed with. And those are the 2 most powerful destructive forces that takes away the happiness and joy of life and cause so much disharmony in our world.
And what fuels the greed?
I think the greed is fueled usually by the selfishness that we, unaware self, unconscious self.
And what drives the selfishness?
I think the selfishness is driven usually by ignorance. I don't know whether that word is appropriate here, but unawareness of the way things are or the nature of things.
So how would an ordinary Canadian seek that peace of mind, given that increasingly in every aspect of their life they are daily bombarded by a series of large, powerful, glossy, commercial messages that tell them to think of themselves and buy for themselves? So how is the ordinary Canadian to reach past that?
Well, when we think about ordinary Canadians, I think it is important to concentrate on individuals, Because if you and me as individuals pay attention to ourselves and take a certain personal responsibility based on certain spiritual values and act upon those things, and then we can liberate ourselves from all these traps that are set, in our society, and it's part of our lifestyle, daily lifestyle. So when you think about peace of mind, it also is a personal effort that you need to find time, at least 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, to be still with yourself, to be quiet with yourself, go into a peaceful place within you and be harmonious, just alone. I become the detached observer, and I slow my thoughts to rest. Liberated by mind, the deepest part of me emerges from within, and with the small and subtle, gentle touches, silence speaks to me. If I radiate that harmony to the world, if I am at peace and if I radiate that peace to the world, I may not change the whole world, but I can touch many individuals and calm them down, slow them down, nurture them in certain ways and tell them the possibilities. So in the same way, if you take responsibility to change yourself and to raise your own consciousness and be at harmony with then I believe that enough individuals change, there will be a change in society.
When I read your writings, I get the sense that Buddhism sees an inherently benevolent creation and universe. And yet, the extreme misery and pain and destruction that's come in this universe to so many innocent people, is the creation actually benevolent?
Well, human emotions are complex, and it is not the creation itself, but what is that those individuals who lose control of their own emotions, causing this kind of negative chaos. But each individual have the power, if they choose, that if you were given power, for example, if you were given a piece of iron to make some weapon, and you make a weapon to kill somebody or make a tool to save somebody, it is how you use this energy what makes a difference.
But what kind of creation is it then that allows such catastrophic pain to exist, that is showered on millions and millions of people? How many million children died in the Holocaust? What kind of universe is it that allows that to happen?
Well, it is not, we can't say that the universe allows that to happen. We understand the universe as a existence of cause and effect, action and reaction cycle that we create emotionally, physically, psychologically, and that is what really maintains the existence of our lives and the existence of communities and all that. So so it is not the creation what is responsible. I don't know what you mean by, again, creation, but what is, I think, ultimately we should be aware is that how we trigger this cause and effect cycle and get energy moving to create this kind of environments. I don't think that anybody in particular is responsible for these things. It is because of the human weaknesses that we have that we haven't overcome, and that is why I think wise men like Buddha said that it is very important for us to overcome these human weaknesses and to reach high level of awareness and ultimately resolve this by reaching nirvana.
Some see our future as quite bleak. I'm thinking in terms of conflicts in the world or ecological crisis, global warming. How do you see our future?
I think there are certain negative sides as well as the positive things that are going on in the world. But I see, when you think about the humanistic or human rights issues, the world coming together more than ever before, and this will help us in many ways to address those issues and share these concerns and find solutions.
Are you hopeful?
I am hopeful because we are survivors, and I think the human beings have survived thousands of years, and we will hopefully, before it is too late, change our attitudes, beliefs, and connection with the planet, with the environment, with our natural resources, with our own people and living beings.
But if we were wise enough and smart enough to know how to survive, where was the wisdom and intelligence when we created the enormous problems?
I think it is because of our own selfishness, and we get lost in our selfish interests and move away from that, the concerns or caring or connection with nature. If you think about human beings today, and 95%, 99% of our time we spend in a very unnatural, artificial environment. We are disconnected from nature, from the house to the car, to the office, back to the car, to the, driving the main roads, and then to the office.
A child comes up to you on the street and says, Bhanté, I've heard that there are Hindu gods, Christian God, Islamic God, Buddhist sense of the spiritual, Native Canadian spirituality, but where should I look, Bhanté, to see the face of the sacred?
I think I would say you have to look within, and depending on what culture, what tradition you come from, if you believe in God, believe that God within, and if you believe in wisdom, just look up to you look into yourself, and you will find the sacred. Because the symbols that we use them to represent that holiness, that pureness, the spiritual essence within, and that is where we need to reach. That is what we need to touch. This is what we need to bring out.
That's our program for this week. Please join me next week as we continue our Millennial series with Eleanor Gaydon from California. Eleanor Gaydon questions whether patriarchy has been good for men over all these centuries. She's currently working on a book called The Wounded Minotaur, Reclaiming the Sacred Male. I'm R.H. Thompson for Man Alive.
Bhanté Wimala, good to see you this morning, a Buddhist monk who's been traveling for 15 years. You stopped long enough to write this book right here in the area. It's called Lessons of the Lotus, and I understand that the lotus means the heart. So these are lessons of the heart.
Yes.
Yeah. May I quote you? First words in the book are, "Behold the splendor of the sunrise as a new day dawns." Many people wake up in this fast-paced, hectic world, and they don't feel that positively about the day. Mm-hmm. How do you, every single morning, wake up and feel so strongly about the day?
In the morning when we wake up, it's very easy for us to get lost in chaotic situations, and we have problems, issues that we have to address the day. So taking a few minutes to relax, pay attention to yourself, observe your own mind and body, and appreciate and be grateful for the blessings of the day. And it's very easy for anybody just, can do that. You don't need extra time. You can sit on your bed and just pay attention to yourself and remember that you're alive, you're well, and be grateful and aware of all the blessings that are around us.
Very positive. We talk about loving, respecting, and nurturing life. It seems to be a common theme throughout your book. Mm-hmm. Again, if you are economically challenged at this time, if you are ill, if you have had sadness in your life, mm-hmm. where do you find the energy to respect and nurture life?
Well, when things go right, it's very easy for us to be excited about things. But when we are sick, when we have difficulties and sicknesses, we forget also how many things that are around us that we could be grateful.
If you're
in touch with what we have, rather than being anxiously involved with what we don't have, I think that is where the problems come from. It doesn't matter at what stage you are in your life, you can always, there are things to be worried about, things that are not right. So paying attention to the things that are there, you know, when I wake up in the morning, I'm so grateful that I could wake up and walk to the bathroom and to there are a lot of people who doesn't have hands or legs, and you know, you should be very grateful that you can open your eyes and see this world and hear the sounds and be involved with people. So there are many things that are right there we could be grateful and be in touch with.
It's human nature, though, not to bring those thoughts up until there's a crisis situation. We don't do that on a daily basis, reminding ourselves how lucky we are to have what little or what great amount we do have. Normally when something's gone wrong, then you think, oh, I'm so glad that I have this, this, and this.
Yes.
Let's talk about love. We talked about love earlier in the show and relationships breaking up. You have some interesting philosophies about love, that it doesn't have to be relationship love. It's finding love for everything that moves, everything that is.
A lot of us talk about love often, but we don't stop and ask, what does it mean for me to love? When I say I love you, how would you define that feeling? And how do you, when you ask somebody, I want you to love me, what do you want? What are you asking? Have you ever asked the question, go deep into the feelings and felt exactly so that you can define your feelings?
Can you tell me what is love?
Well, in a deeper level, to love is to be genuinely interested in the happiness and well-being of another human being, another person. And that kind of love has no power to hurt you, because I don't believe love can hurt you. If it is love, it cannot cause pain. So love is, when I'm genuinely interested in your happiness and well-being, I experience a certain comfort. That comfort itself is the result of love. I don't need the feedback or anything. I can love somebody who hates me, but still get a deep fulfillment from it and experience comfort from it.
The teachings of Buddha and that which you have written about in the book, is it relevant in 1997, 1998?
It is. Truth is timeless. Truth does not belong to anybody, and truth cannot be labeled. And so if anybody who has preached truth and come into the realization of truth, I think it is timeless. So the human mind, the consciousness, and the power and potential of human mind, and these things exist in human beings, you know, timelessly, without, you know, when you go back 2,500 years ago and look at human beings.
We were going to get into meditation, but I must say that your tone of voice and your demeanor, your mannerisms are very calming. I'm looking around the room right now, and everybody who's been frantic through this show, and that's really all of us, we've all just relaxed a little. There are tips on how to meditate, and do it while you're walking, do it while you're living in this fast-paced world. The book is very interesting. It's called Lessons of the Lotus, and I thank you so much for being here. Pleasure to talk to you. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Stay with us.
What is it like to be a Buddhist monk in the 90s? Bhanté Wimala is a traveling Buddhist monk, and he is here to talk about some of his experiences. Hello, Bhanté. Welcome to First Up. Now, your story is actually quite an interesting one about how, at the age of 13, entered a monastery.
Yes.
You were originally not the chosen one in your family, were you?
No, my brother, older brother, who was chosen.
And so how did it happen?
And he was
that
sent
you
to the
came?
temple, and I used to visit him in the temple very often. And the head monk saw me and asked my father to bring in my horoscope. So he compared my horoscope with my brother's and decided that I'm the one who is destined to be the monk, not my brother. So we switched. He went home and I went to the temple.
And you took over, and then you trained for the next, I guess,
Yes.
7 or 8 years.
Yes, I was not the calmest young boy who was 13 years old, and so it was an interesting period for my life to adjust into the environment of the temple and the rules.
Now that's hard to believe, because I mean today you know, looking at you sitting there, you exude a kind of peace and serenity. But were you typical of other teenage boys back then? I mean,
Yes, I was.
Did you have a tough time following those rules in the monastery?
I did. But I think as I grew and, you know, became wiser and I began to meditate, it just changed my personality.
Well, you talk about some of these experiences in your book, Lessons of the Lotus.
Yes.
And I would think it's quite unusual for a Theravada monk, and Theravada being, from what I understand, one of the strictest,
yes.
Right, sects of the Buddhist religion,
yes.
For you to not be in a monastery, but you apparently travel the world. You've been doing this for the last 12 years, spreading a spiritual message.
Yes, last 15 years.
15
actually,
years.
Yes, yes. First 4 years I spent in Asia as a seeker, as a student, and I went to many temples, ashrams, yogis, gurus, and it was time of quest in my life. And then 1984, actually, I first came to Canada, to Toronto, and I was sent to the Newfoundland, to the temple. And after a year or so, I just left the temple and began to do what I like the most, you know, travel and teach and share with people, spend time with families, and be in touch with people and teach.
And
yes.
to the extent where you've even founded a spiritual center in Massachusetts, right? And you also teach in New York.
Yes, I teach at the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck every summer. Last 11 summers I have been the co-faculty member, and I teach courses to the staff there, and I also work as the staff counselor.
Now, in your book, Lessons of the Lotus, you try to give practical application to Western life of the philosophy of Buddhism. Tell me how, you know, how can we here in modern day society connect with a religion from the East that's over 2,500 years old?
Well, truth is universal, as you know, and what Buddha talks about is life, the nature of life, consciousness, and the power and potential of human beings, and how we can get in touch with those powers and potential and achieve spiritual transcendence, bring happiness and peace to life. So unlike other religions, you know, Buddhism is a humanistic religion. It's more like a psychotherapy. So it's very attractive to those who seek to know life, understand ourselves better, and to expand our own consciousness, to become closer to life and know life in that way. So it's a path of self-reflection, cultivating, developing inner peace and tranquility, and eventually come into higher levels of understanding of who we are and what we are all about.
If there was one small message that you could give people today who are leading very chaotic, stressful lives, what would it be?
Well, take time to sit for a few minutes every day at least, and relax, pay attention to yourself, and be conscious of your mind, of your thoughts, of your feelings, and also, most importantly, do something very little at least that would make a difference in somebody else's life, because giving is one of the best nurturing that you can give yourself.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bhanté Wimala. Once again, the book is called Lessons of the Lotus. Good luck on your travels.